and they want to live this life on purpose. Go find some purpose.
Welcome to Purpose Talks episode 5. I'm really excited to do this episode. A lot of people have been asking me about my context, and they're saying to me, why do I always interview just females? And I had to ask myself, why is that? And it just so happens it's Father's Day. So we are going to interview 2 fathers, different views. And I think it's really important that we understand the men's point of views when it comes to being a father. So I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves. So this is my first guest is...
Roul.
Well, lovely to meet you. And my second guest? Kirk. Lovely to meet you also, Kirk. So I've got 2 fabulous guests. I know they're going to get into it. They're not going to be nervous. We're going to be asking them some harsh questions. We're really going to see what that is about being a father. And are they real fathers? That's the big thing. Do they classify themselves as real fathers, and what makes them a real father? Because it's easy to be a dad, but to be a father, I think that's something different. So let's get straight into it. So do you want to tell me a bit about your story, a bit about who you are, how many children you've got? Are you still with the children's mom, etc.?
Okay, yeah. Right, so I've got 3 kids, right? I've got a little man who's just, he's turning 1 year old next week, 23rd of June. Yeah, I've got a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, 2 girls. So 2 girls and 1 boy. I'm still with the mom. Yeah, it's only 1 mom. I have no outside kids as far as I'm concerned. What can I say? We do have a good relationship, and I love the kids. The kids love me.
Cool. Interesting. Right. And yourself?
I got 2 kids. I got a 7-year-old. One of them was our good relationship involved with my kids. I was trying to see women I'm not with. I'm not just also a parent. Just see
Okay, cool. So let me ask you a bit about growing up with your fathers. Did you grow up with your dad? Do you have a relationship with him? And what's that all about?
You going first, or you want me to go first? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, my dad. I hope you don't see this, right? Because because my dad, my relationship with my dad was strained growing up. Yeah, because I only saw my dad. Like, I've never seen my dad and my mom together.
Okay.
They broke up since I was about maybe 3 years old.
Okay.
Or even younger. And I only saw my dad come in to visit me. That's the only time he came, like, to visit me. I'm from the Caribbean, Grenada. And you would find that in the Caribbean, it's sort of like, back then, it sort of was like a trend. You would have a lot of single moms. So I grew up with my auntie, because my mom migrated to Canada, for a better life, to help us out and all that. So my dad, I only saw him once a month. That's when he came to give me some monies, like for, monthly gratuities. And then he would disappear again, and I would see him maybe for next 2 months or whatever, that sort of thing. But what can I say? As I grew up and I became a man, we became closer, because I eventually started living with him, and then we sort of grew into a relationship. But in between that time, from since I was about 6 years old, going all the way to 21, I used to yearn for that relationship with my dad that I never had, because he was obviously busy doing whatever he was off doing, so I'm classed as one of those single parent families. Don't want to get into it much, but I had a father figure through my cousins that I grew up with. I had a father figure, so he sort of substituted for my dad in that way.
Amazing.
My dad only went up to the age of 2 years old. The reason that is, I didn't grow up in the UK. I started going up to Jamaica. Well, I'm born early raised in Jamaica. So as it says, where being old in Jamaica, for I was especially here in the. My father was a notorious, how you say it in the UK, mafia gang leader. So my dad run that side, the Binge Road, and then my dad had a set of war with another set of people from Buckers. They killed my father's best friend, so that led my father into taking over everything on that side. I didn't really get much time with my dad, but when the time was there, he made effort. That's one thing I know about my dad. When he was able to be around and do stuff for the family and do stuff for my mum, he made sure he was there to play with me. He made sure he was there to take care of me. But yeah, my dad ended up getting killed at the age of 2. So I lost my dad from the age of 2 years old. My only father figure was my mother. Like I said, my story was a lot different. At the time, after they killed my father, they were looking to kill my mum as well. And funny story is, a man went up to a woman that looked like my father, looked at my mother, and asked if, "Are you with his baby mum?" But the woman the woman that he spoke to knew my mum, but she said no. And then she reported to my grandmother. My grandmother told my mum like, "Yo, they're looking for you as well." So my mum made every effort on the earth like to come to the UK. So then I migrated to the UK. My father figure personally is my mother. I never had no father figure, so I can't say it was someone that I really looked up to. The only person I ever looked up to was my mum, because she had to play both roles. She had to be a dad and a mother. I came to the UK when I was 6 years old. And yeah, that's my relationship with my father. It's sad to say, but the relationship that I know with my father back in was very close, but he taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to level up, how to never be that type of guy that's gonna not want to be in his kid's life. At the moment, my dad died when he was in his 20s, so I would say he died around 29, 28. Thank God that I made it to 29. I'm 29 now. So I've always had this urge inside of me to say, I got to outlive my father. And I got to make sure I'm there for my kids, no matter the circumstance or what it costs. So yeah, that's a little story.
Really deep. Both stories are really quite deep and quite personal, and I'm happy that you shared it on Purpose Talks. I just want to get into it a bit more, if you don't mind, and just delve into some more personal questions. So, having both of your fathers not necessarily in your life, do you think it's affected you as a father to your children now?
Yeah, it's affected me massively because I yearned for that affection, as a son. And I have never had like brothers or sisters because I'm an only child.
Yeah.
I made it a mission that whenever I have kids, and which I do now, that'll always be in their life, So I made it like a mission statement, that's so to say, that I will always be in my kids' life because I know what it was like for me.
And yourself?
For myself, it has had a lot of effects. I won't lie to you. Growing up, I had a hard background, hard upbringing. Getting kicked out of primary school, getting kicked out of secondary, getting kicked out of college, stuff like that. So it did affect me. Even though I'm 29, I still think about, what would it be like if he was here, What would our relationship be like? What will I still be the person that I became, or will I even be better? Will I be a better version of myself now? So it has affected me mentally. I won't lie. Anyone that loses their father or doesn't have a father figure or father relationship is gonna affect them mentally, no matter how much the child or the young adult or the adult want to admit, it hasn't affected them. It will affect them, and it has affected me. But it taught me, as I said, it taught me a lot how to take on life. You know, my mum, as I said, even though my father's not there, my mother, she would sit me down and say, Kirk, you can't do this, you can't do that. This is how you gotta be. Your dad wouldn't want you to do this. You understand? So for me, it's taught me how much to value the relationship of a father and a child together, like how to actually grow your kids. Yeah, I'll tell the truth, because I'm straight honest, I don't lie about nothing. I'm not the best of dads, but I try my devoted best to make sure I take care of my kids. No matter what. Obviously, I'm with one of my partners, which I'm married to. I live in the household with them, so it's a bit different when it comes to the other child not being with me and being able to see him every day. The relationship is going to be, it seems the same, but it's kind of not the same, because that child is not there 24/7. Even though you want the child to be there 24/7, it's a bit different.
Well, thank you for sharing. So want to get a bit more into it. I feel like the pressure on fathers in society nowadays is quite high. And I think it's been quite high for some time, to be fair. And I wonder, how does fathers cope? Because there is so many programs, there's so many things out there for single mums. Like, it's like, oh my God, you get pregnant in the UK, you get a flat. You get pregnant in the UK, you get money. You get pregnant in the UK, you get all these helps. I've never seen something that's specific just for single fathers or for fathers like you're both are married. I feel like there's nothing really out there like a safe space that there's there to say, you know what, this place you're going to go to and we're financially going to help you. Go and buy your children's uniform, go and buy your children's food, shopping, I don't know, go do their hair, whatever it is. And I think like society's not even at all when it comes to fathers. And I feel like more platforms need to give you guys opportunity to hear your voice about a female saying, oh yeah, but us also, you know, I'm definitely for female power and I love my queens, but I do love my kings as well. I feel like without the kings, we won't have children. It's inevitable. You cannot have a child unless you've got a man. So why are men not getting that safe space? Why are men not being valued? Why are men not getting that council property? And do you guys feel like it's more harder on you lot because you're not getting that? And you know, like if you live with a girl, she can say, get out, you're not on the tenancy, or get out, you're not on the mortgage and stuff like that. I feel like, do you feel like society needs to do more to help you guys out to make them, I don't know, wave a flag to say, you know, fathers, we count too?
Yeah, I agree with that. Me too. Because I think that society needs to catch up.
Definitely.
You know, society needs to catch up because we put a lot of emphasis on the women, a lot, right?
Yeah.
But men are human beings too. And yeah, we have some men out there running wild and doing all sorts. However, we do have men who are holding it down and doing their level best to be there and to be men. You understand? Even those that out there running wild, like society don't give them the credit to say, okay, what's the root problem? What's the root problem of this? You know, like what's a man's mental space? You know, where that mindfulness, it's not there for us as men, because as society thinks that we as men, we just need to
just be men.
Crack on.
Yeah.
Crack on and be men.
That's definitely where I think society goes a little bit wrong. Because there's situations, for instance, you know, when it comes to this, or the woman's got more right towards the children, but they don't know how it's affecting a man, you know? Like, you get a lot of relationships. I'm just speaking on my behalf and what I've experienced and what I've seen people experience. You get a lot of relationships where you're trying your best to be a dad, like, and you're trying to say, can you meet me here with my child? And it's like, if you don't go to the location or that place that lady's asking you to go, you can't see your son or you can't see your daughter. Right. And then it comes to, you come to my house, I'll call the police. People don't know that stuff there affects a man deeply, because it makes us feel like we have no right to a child, especially when you are a single parent.
And when it's both partners meant to be having 50-50, so I have him on the half terms or you have him then, but 95% of the time it goes the other way. Like, you have to agree upon what the female partner says, to say what she wants, to make sure it works. Otherwise, mentally, as a man, you think it don't affect us. I'm telling you, it breaks us down.
Goes deep.
Yo, there's been times where I've looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, what am I doing wrong as a father? Yes, there's times where I can't see my son because I have to work.
Yeah.
I work for a big organization, so I have to work a 12-hour shift every day. Sometimes I get tired. But if I say I'm not going to that location to go get my son, can you bring him to me? Oh God, it's the most headache in the place. So I think on a man's behalf, women needs to start understanding us a little bit more. See that we're humans as well, we got a soul. We got a heart just like you, so when you say certain things, it hurts a man deeply. And I'm telling you, you think we're just strong. When it comes to a child and a woman is always going to be stronger than a man for their child. I'm going to tell you that fact. That's why I rate women. You see, when it comes to a man now, ladies need to understand, stop using aggressive language towards their ex-partners or towards their partner. Stop telling them they're this or they're that. Oh, I wish you never had a child with you. I'm not saying that's what happens to me, but this is the type of stuff that does happen.
Yeah.
Like, stop doing them things and encourage the guy, encourage him to say, you know what? I rate you. You're actually, even though we're not together, you can turn your back. You can literally turn your back right now and say, no, I don't really care. I'm going to do my own thing. But you're not doing that. You're still coming out there, waking up every day to make sure you can get food on the plate to provide for my child, even though I'm not with you. I'm still making sure you got that money every month in your account, making sure you can take my son to school club, whatever you need to do. Give the men them some props.
100%. I agree with it. And I think sometimes as women, we don't necessarily see that side of the man's pain because we're female. We just think, we've got our girls, we go around our girls, we've all got a similar story, with our baby fathers, single mum, and kind of like we feed each other quite insecure things in our mindsets. And I think for myself, I lost my baby father to cancer in 2019. And I think it's only then when I really understood, it's crazy because it took his death to really understand his love for his children. And he's got more than one baby mother. And I think, oh my God, my daughter's the oldest. So she's got this big, huge responsibility now to make sure all the siblings are together, stay together. And that was his one wish, And even though we weren't together at all, it's like the time that he was going through. And I really thank God for the time that we had spent together because I guess living with cancer, you kind of know you're going to die. So you kind of get the opportunity to say your goodbyes, put things into place, and etc. And I didn't realize the effect that it had on all the children. And when you at the funeral and you see all these vulnerable children, I just feel like women, we need to really give men a break because you don't want to get to a point where you're waiting for the death before you then realize, oh my gosh, I should have gave more time. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have gotten my feelings. Oh my God, no, he's not actually a narcissist. Actually, he's not a bad guy. He just didn't work for us. But he's queens out there. And I think allowing, for myself now, if I go into any other relationship and my partner ends up with children or got children before me, it's important. Me and the woman get on. It's important that he sees his children regular. I don't want to go any guy that doesn't see his children on a regular basis or phone calls or let's try and get some contacts, whether we have to go to court, whatever we need to do, but we need to have that contact because men's feelings do count. And a lot of men, I don't know if you know about society, more men commit suicide than women. And a lot of men are depressed more than women. And I do trauma. I'm a trauma consultant. And most of the men are going through traumatic things because they didn't have a father. They didn't know how to become a father. So they do their best. But their best is also looked at as not good enough. And I think as a female, shout out to all my queens. Like I said, I love you. We've got to start sitting down and allowing that man to lead. Because personally, as a person who has a faith, I strongly believe in God, the man, the woman, the children. That's the way society should be.
Order.
It's the order, and it's the only order that works. If you look back in our grandparents and stuff like that, that's what worked in their household. We didn't hear our grandma sitting with Auntie Susan and she's convincing them to leave the husband. You hear them sitting there and say, you know what, he's gone out to work, he's gone to, I don't know, he works in the garage, he does the army, whatever it is. And you're at home, you're fixing the meal, you're keeping the house clean, you know what I mean, you're setting his bath. And it was standard. I think the problem in society right now is as females, we're listening to people that are irrelevant. Just, it's okay to be a single mum. Don't do that. Oh, don't set his bath. Oh, you're an idiot. You're this, you're that, you're that. And actually, the only people that's hurting is the little people, which is the children, because kids love their fathers, regardless, even if they see their fathers once a month. I record when my kids used to see their dad come, and the love, the joy in their faces, it was like he lived there. Like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
Speaking of what you said now, it's a lack of education, I think it is. Where it's a lack of communication. Because what I've noticed with a lot of female, I love my queens, as she said as well, purpose, big her up for that as well, in the testimony, so to hear about your husband that passed. It's a lack of communication and education for me personally. I think when a woman and a man is talking, certain things you should not say around children. You should never, ever, ever put down any fathers around their kids. Rather you having an argument, rather it's for money, rather it's because he couldn't see them this week, rather it's because he's been being an idiot or he's acting a certain type of way. You take that outside the house or take that in a different room. Because what I realize is a lot of people don't realize when you start saying things around the kids, you think because they're at a young age and they're only 4, 5 or they're 7 years old, they're not listening. Kids are very clever. So when you start speaking around kids, they actually start taking in what you're saying. Eventually, I'm going to tell you straight, 9 times out of 10, I'll tell you what happened. 1, it's either that kid starts growing up and disrespecting his father, or 2, the mother turns the kid against them. And that is truth. I've seen it.
100%.
You know, talking about that, right? Just going on with what you said. You know, my dad, right?
Yeah.
I saw him, as you said, like once a month. And when I saw that man, I was so excited. Like there was nothing else in the world for me, right? And I never knew like my dad was what he was or whatever he wasn't, right? Because my mom, they never discussed that. It's until I became an adult now and I can sit and analyze things. And I was like, okay, so this is what this guy used to actually do. But that don't change the fact now, because I still love him and I love him a lot. You understand? Right? And now he's able to show me that love, because probably he wasn't in a safe space, as so to say, to show that love at that time. You understand? And it's like a generational thing that happens. So it's falling back on us as men, the older generation, and we have never gotten that education. They've never sat down and said, okay, this is how you go about it. So we now grow into men, and we think, all right, we have the blueprint because we've seen that happen. And but in essence, we don't have the blueprint. Yeah, we need to be educated, and society need to recognize that too. You understand? But they don't.
Yeah. Speaking on what you said, I just want to comment. You said something, safe space. I think that's something that female and men need to know. That safe space, you need to give a man an opportunity. You don't know if he's grieving over something. You don't know how he's taking on being a father. You don't know what's affecting him behaving in a certain characteristic way. Give him an opportunity. Give that man that lead with an opportunity to build himself. Give him that chance to get focused and bring his head around things and say, you know what, I've got to do the best that I can for my child. It takes a lot of men a long time to do it, you know, but don't hold grudges. What I find with a lot of mothers, as I said, I've seen it. Like, I've seen it amongst family members. I've seen it amongst other friends and their kids and stuff. Do not hold grudge against a man, because you don't know what he's been dealing with. Have you ever seen a single man sometime when you go to their house and you're like, flipping, no man, this guy is actually getting up, working, trying his hardest and this and that. But because you can't physically see what he's dealing with emotionally, and you can't see with your eyes in front of you, you automatically get this sense of feeling, he's that bad dad, or he's not doing this, he's not doing that. Give him that chance. Give the men a chance to build themselves, to be that dad that you want them to be towards their kids. Okay, it's hard.
Definitely. And one of my missions as Purpose Talks, as Miss Purpose, as people call me, is the purpose of one of my assignments I believe that God put me on the earth for is to open up a home. And people say, what kind of home are you opening up? What do you mean a safe home for men? And I find that when men get kicked out of their baby mother's house, they automatically go to another woman's house, not necessarily because they like the woman, but they need somewhere to place their head.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. So what I want to do is open up a house where single men, if they break up their woman, whether they're married or not married, and they go to this place, and it's a house that's for free, just tap in, and there's men there that you can speak to. There's rooms that you can just go to, and your baby mother or the woman of your child or your wife, whoever she is, will know that you're at the safe house.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity to understand that it's men only anyway, so you're not going to be there with females because females are not allowed to go there. But you then have a brother, you know what I mean, another king that you can sit down and say, you know what, I'm going through this. There's going to be a place where a support system in there where we can say, actually, we can get you some funding while you're not at work at the moment. Let's try and apply for some grants for you to get this in the place. Okay, you're homeless at the moment, because homelessness happens to everyone. You know what I mean? It's happened to me, could happen to anyone, whether you're born here or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is what we can do. Actually, your child's going to this school. Okay, did you know that this is available, that's available? This, because a lot of things are hidden, especially in society. We don't know what's actually available for us. And I feel like some children are created by hurt because of the guy's kicked out of the woman's house that he loves. Then he goes to the next woman's house, you have a bit, you know, a little conversation, unfortunately it leads into the bedroom, then a child is created. And that child, it's not fair on that child that's been created because they've been created out of her.
Right.
So why not go to a place where you can just talk to men that are going through similar situations,
Right.
You can mentor them and they can mentor you. You can stay there for 2-3 nights, get your head together, get some therapy, get some counselling, and then go back home. Do you know what I mean? At least that one will know. And then have the day centre open, which the day centre will be like, you can go there a day that, you know, in this country, if you notice, they support a lot of things like they have AA for alcohol people, they have something for people that are on drugs, they have something, everything that's bad, they've got some form of company for them. What about if you want to do something good? Why isn't there a place I can just go and sit with guys and say, do you know what, you deserve that certificate, you deserve that badge because you're actually a good dad. Even if the mum don't tell you, it's important that we tell. I've got friends, and each morning, my male friends, and I'm not looking at anything from them, I would give them a word of encouragement, just tell them how great they are living in their purpose. I respect you as a king. You know, I love you. I appreciate you. And it's not, I don't love them to be with them. I love the fact that you keep on getting up every single morning. You know, in society now where I'm from, South London, the amount of times I wake up and see someone else is dead, the amount of youth that, are we even going to have kings to have children? Like my son turned 18 2 weeks ago, and he was like, I'm just glad I made it to 18. I was thinking, what? How are you happy to make 18?
Well, you gotta be happy, man. You gotta be happy that the fact that he said that.
And then he went to the graveyard to visit his friend. He didn't make it to 18. He's lost so much friends, and I'm thinking, they're not bad kids. They get caught up in bad situations because sometimes they don't have that father figure or that house they could have went to. Instead of that drug dealer house, instead of taking the kids to go and trap, take them to a safe house where they can see proper role models, and they can say, do you know what? Can I spar with you? Say, how do I get into the army? How do I get into a business that I'm working 12 hours and making the right amount of money? There is nothing for you men, and it frustrates me so much because I'm thinking, we can't keep on crying out that our youth are being killed, yet still none of us are putting money together to open up a safe house. But yet still trap houses have been opened up on a daily basis. You know, there's money out there. Let's start doing things for our youth so we can see the next generation, the next generation, the next generation after that. I'm not happy to see 18. Turn it around. They're happy that they see the 81st birthday. Do you know what I mean? You know, we've got to make things be a bit more different. So yeah, I'm very passionate about you guys and that you do not have the room to speak and get yourself heard, so to speak. But saying that, we're going to do something fun now, let's do a bit of attention. So I'm going to try and show you guys something. All right, so everyone that knows Purpose, you know, I always have a game in my head for my guests to do. I do my events,
All right then.
So what I'm going to ask the both of the men to do is they have 3 balloons in front of them.
Okay.
And they have, let's be a bit generous, 20 seconds to blow up these balloons and tie them in a knot.
Okay.
Big balloons. It needs to be really big, and they got 20 seconds to do it.
All right. 20 seconds.
And yeah, you have to blow them out, and there's no excuses. Yeah, you just got to get it done.
All right.
Yeah?
Ready?
Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ready, steady, go.
Wow.
Timing it properly.
Okay.
5 seconds left.
What is this all sweaty?
Yeah. All right, let's try this. Yeah. This is something.
Stop. Put them down. Put all your balloons down.
Oh. Yeah,
Even
that's gone. Yeah.
that one down here.
So mad.
So, you're thinking, why has this girl got me blowing up balloons and what's the purpose of that? And let me tell you the purpose of it. So, in society, in life, you have your father, you have yourself, and you have your son. And everyone feels like you can just do everything exactly the same just because it looks the same or it has the same purpose.
Okay.
And that's incorrect. Just because your father did what he did in your life doesn't mean you're going to do it in your son's life, and doesn't mean your son's going to do it in his son's life or your daughter's life. Everything I feel like society always says, as a father, you should do this. As mothers, we say, as the dad, if you don't do this in this particular way, you're not going to be able to do it. But what if I'm doing my best? What if I am blowing everything that I've got, yet still I cannot tie the knot? I'm trying everything. I'm giving you everything. I'm putting all the instructions that my dad gave to me. I'm blowing that into my child as well. And what if the balloon bursts? Like, there gets to a point where men's feelings get to a point where they just burst and they have it outright and then they pack up their clothes and go. And what us as women need to realize is that we are a part of that, because we're just feeding, expecting. And no one's giving the men time out to just breathe. You're just go. I've got to make the money. I've got to do this. I've got to, as you guys said, I've got to be a better father. I want to do more. I have to be around my child all the time. Even you sometimes put so much high expectations on yourself. Take time out for yourself, because you cannot be a great person, much as a great father, if all you're doing is trying to compete to what you didn't have. The balloon is not going nowhere. Your son is going to be your son. Your daughter is going to be your daughter. Take your time and breathe in slowly. If you make this today, make it better tomorrow. Each day, build and build and build. And the time you're ready to tie that knot, the amount of knowledge that your child would have from you, the amount of knowledge that you would have taken from your dad's situation, I believe strongly everything had a purpose. And as unfortunately, sometimes, as my daughter lost her dad, you lost your father wasn't around. There was a purpose through that. You was a strong person. My children are very strong characters because of me. But it doesn't mean we're not hurting. It doesn't mean sometimes I want that balloon to stop. I want to stop breathing. I want to stop giving. I want to just start living a life for me. And once you fix yourself for purpose, on purpose, in purpose, you'll be the purposeful purpose that God has created you to be. And no one can take that away from you. I always say to people this: every single one of us are born in this world to do a specific assignment, and only us can do it. Someone could do something similar, but no one can do nothing the same as you. Yeah. And I give people this example as well. Let's look at McDonald's, Nando's, and KFC. Now, all three of them sell chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of them are food franchise, right? They're fast foods, restaurants. All of them have their own customers. None of them are intimidated by each other. Why? Because they know what they're doing. They know what seasoning they're putting on theirs. Right. Know what seasoning you're putting on your children. And that's the end of it. If it's not good enough for anyone else, ultimately it's good enough for your children. And I think we have to always try and hold on to that our children are proud of us. And that's what matters. Even if the mums, I'm a mum, even if the mums have to catch up, don't worry about it. Worry about yourself. How many times have you said to yourself, look into the mirror, I am good enough. I am the father that God has created me to be. You might not see it today, but you're going to see it tomorrow. Okay. Because I'm going to keep going as a dad. And I think that's really important, an important message that we need to get across to the mums, society, the government that encourage single households, people that don't understand their calling, their purpose, their divine place of being their assignment. Get to a point where, you know what, actually, I love my king. And also I say to the females, why did you create a child with a man that's such a narcissist? A man that's such a bad person, a man that you say can't do all these things? Then you need to take time out of who you're sleeping with. Okay. You need to ask yourself questions. Have you looked at his background? Did you know that his father used to do this? Did you know there's a drug history? Did you know there's a mental health history? And not saying that person will have it, but look at the history. Look at who you're making children with. I always say to my mates, I'd rather stay single and be happy than get into something and I have no clue of what I'm getting into. I'm not making anyone blow any air into me or be any mentor or be any father figure to my children, and they're a mess. Hurt people, but heal people. And that's really, really important. So yeah, that's like the purpose. Hopefully that makes sense of the game, of what we're trying to get out of it. Having played that game and hopefully you've thought about it a little bit, how is your thought process now? Like, obviously you're going to go home to your children, home to your wives as well. How do you feel like you feel? Do you feel a bit different? Do you feel a better understanding? Do you feel a bit empowered? Yeah, let me know.
Okay. I think that game right there, that's an eye-opener, right? Because it shows you that, yeah, you're there and you're trying your level best. And sometimes it could be difficult, you know? And that difficulty, it's also placed on you by outside pressure, because we had the pressure of, we had a time constraint against us.
Yeah.
And we were looking to actually do 3 balloons. And then you start actually doing it and you realize, okay, I'm struggling with just 1, you know? And it's like, when you mentioned that thing, like that chain between your father, yourself, your son, right? And you trying to link that chain because you're obviously the link man, right? And you have the pressures from the generational ties and curses that's been there from before. And you trying to work through that because you're trying to be a better man for your son, you know? You might have, say like, for example, your dad. Yeah, you know your dad was yeah, right. And you decided, all right, now I want to be there for my son because my dad wasn't there for me. It's the same with me. It's like understanding who my dad was. But my dad, he could have been trying to work it out the same way I am trying to work it out from his father through him to me, right? But because of the outside pressures wasn't allowing him to, he decided to, and not the right education, he decided to just take himself out of the equation, right? Yeah. So that right there, that shows you that even though you might feel the pressure, you just have to keep trying. Because I was there at pop 1 and you know, he was there still trying to like work with 1, and it just shows you that you need to keep trying, like, although you might have all this outside pressures, you have the generational ties and the curses and everything, you know, and then you're trying to produce a good image for the generation that's coming, right? You still have to keep trying no matter what. Yeah, you might bust one, like, oh my God, I'm not good in this. Okay, let's go again. Let's keep trying. Let's keep working at it, you know? That's what I got from it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
For me, personally, I'm glad on purpose. It's the first time meeting you, and I'm actually happy. Sorry for being late, by the way, but I'm actually so happy for actually coming in. Cause that what you just done made me say to myself, I ain't putting no more pressure on myself.
That's it.
Because pressure bust pipe. I'm a Jamaican, and they're the saying, too much pressure bust pipe.
Yes, man.
And what I realize is, I was at this stage. Man, I was at the stage where mentally I was on a breaking. When I saw that little witty scenario you put me in, with my hands sweating and that, I took that as my own testimony. I'm like, I'm sweating just trying to do the balloon. This is how I'm sweating in life, just trying to raise my kids. Like, I'm always putting so much pressure on myself. Like, one thing I'm grateful for is that my wife, the one that I'm with, she currently does try to support me as much as God. She's like, come on, you got this. But this here made me realize, men, if you do watch this podcast, and ladies, if you're watching this, stop putting pressure on us. Because eventually, it's going to make their pipes blow. And when I say pipes blow, they could end up suffering PTSD. They could end up being on medication. They could end up just turning cabbage, walking around the street, just lost because they've been beaten up so much deeply inside for what you think they have not done, which they know they're still doing, or what you think they should be doing, instead of taking a step back and letting them breathe. Me, personally, purpose, I'm taking a step back and I want to breathe. I'm like, yo, no, it's my time now. Let me get my head in the game and do what I've got to do to make sure my child is okay, make sure my sons are okay, without no one pressuring me and making me feel like I ain't doing enough. Or I'm speaking on my personal. I don't mind people judging me from this podcast and saying, right, this guy's actually talking about himself and stuff. Yeah, I'm speaking on my personal issue, innit? I'm speaking on how I feel from within me, innit? I'm not here for no one to pressure me no more, make me feel like I'm not doing enough as a father when I'm doing my best that I can be, working 2 jobs, sometimes 3, and trying to put that food on the plate for my kids, and trying to own my own business and elevate myself. Now I'm taking a step back and I don't want no more pressure. I want to be able to say, you know what, I'm grateful, I want to sit back and say, God, thank you. I live today. I got the opportunity to take my son out. I got the opportunity to leave something behind for my son. I don't want to be sitting there constantly thinking in my mind, am I doing enough? Is it good enough? Is my son going to hate me when he gets older? Are me and him still going to have that bond relationship when he calls me daddy, I love you? This is the type of things that I think us men, if you agree, us men need to actually take a step back.
Yeah.
And do that little scenario that she just gave us with the balloons at home as well. Just see how you feel after, because it's a good scenario.
Absolutely, I agree, and thank you so much. And it is true, when you're at home with your partners, if you've got brothers or sisters or cousins or friends, I'm always, let me just promote myself a little bit, always willing to come into homes and do scenarios and do things like this and do events like this on even a bigger scale, so that people understand everyone has feelings. And if you put yourself in someone else's shoes, can you actually wear them comfortably? Can you even take a step, much as walk in them? It's really important that we understand that. And I feel like I could have a boohoo story and say, oh my God, my life was so hard. I grew up in care. This happened, that happened, blah, blah, blah. But no, I took that as my strength. I stand for the 3 Ps. It's pain, process, purpose.
Yeah.
Everything is a painful situation. We've all gone through something painful.
Come on.
We all have to go for a process.
Come on.
At the end of it, there's a purpose to it.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? I don't make no one, just like yourselves, I talk my truth on my podcast. It's not going to be good for everyone, but it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And there's someone out there that's going to listen to it, whether they're in this country, in Africa, America, whatever, Australia. They're going to say, do you know what? I can relate to that girl. I can relate to that guy. I can relate to that guy. So I think it's really important that when people do podcasts, when I was jumping on it, I wasn't jumping on it to get fame.
No.
I was jumping it to heal my people.
Exactly.
There's a village out there that is broken. And the only way we're going to get healed is to hear, actually, I've been through that as well. Actually, I'm going through that because, I don't know, but as Black people, sometimes we get taught how to cover things up.
Yes.
We get taught, like, if the teacher asks you that, no. You shush about, kids have to be seen but never to be heard.
Come on, man, we do that nearly all our lives.
Do you know what I mean? It's time for us to break that, because I'm not saying we must speak everything, but once you find a safe space, yes, start speaking it, because as you speak, you get healed. I grew up in the care system. I didn't really have a faith. And at first, I was like, oh, who's this God? Like, everyone's just going about God. I think there's no God, I wouldn't have such a bad life. Right. But the thing about, he knew I was strong enough to go through that life. And as men, you are strong enough. The reason why you've got these children, the reason why God has given you even these children's mum, because he knew you could handle his queens.
Exactly.
And you're the gatekeeper of the household. Do you understand? So sometimes you might be feeling you're getting battered. And that's when you pull the red card and say, you know what, I need time out. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you actually strong, saying, actually, I just can't do it right now.
Yeah.
And then you come back and they might be upset with you. And I'm not encouraging fathers not to be there. What I'm saying is, why be there half when you can be there whole? Right. Why not get fixed fully? So when I'm back in the child's life, when I'm back in your life as your husband, as your king, I'm giving you 110. Okay. Because the thing about it, I'm very against 50-50. I don't believe in 50-50. Right. And people say to me, why do you say that? And let me tell you guys this. If I'm only giving you 50% of me, who am I giving that other 50% to? I truly believe in 100.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't let no one ever give you 50 of themselves, because that means they've got their friends in their ears or their whoever in their ears. Like, no, I wouldn't have that from him. No, don't do that. Oh no, he's a bad father because he turned up at 4 and he should have been there at 2 o'clock. No. When you're given 100% to each other, no one else can come into your world because it's your world. Yeah. So just make sure you're encouraged. When people are saying, oh, but you didn't, you could have, would have, should have, ignore it. And it's okay, seriously, before we wrap it up and I'll make you guys say who you are and where we can find you, know this, it's okay to say no.
I think, just also men get judged because they may have made a mistake or done something wrong in the past. Or it doesn't have to be a singular thing. It could be something that occurs, Or
could be made to do.
Yeah, because they haven't healed or come out from, like you said, hurt people.
Yeah.
So because they haven't healed and fully come out from whatever situation they were, that childhood trauma and that, right? They continually make mistakes, and instead of taking a step back to say, okay, all right, what's the root cause of this problem? Yeah. How can we get to the bottom of this and get it sorted? People push them to the side, and pressure because of society now, people are constantly in each other's ears. So, we did that thing with a balloon, and when we were doing it, what came to me is how do we handle pressure? See a lot of people just smoking, smoking because they think, well, release. I get that temporary release, but does that handle the pressure? When the euphoria is over, you still drop back down and you come back down to the same thing, and you need to handle it. So what we get is a lot of severe depression. So a lot of people are depressed, but they are taught to forget that, cover it. Back in the Caribbean, if something happened,
taught to be strong, man.
Yeah, you need to be strong. What's wrong with you? What are you complaining about? Exactly. What? You can be a girl. You need to be strong, And then they teach girls the same thing too. So we have a lot of strong queens, and we have a lot of men that are taught to be strong. But you were taught to be strong. You were told to be strong. But were you molded into that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Did they work on that? So when something arises, instead of shouting, instead of trying to be an apex male, so to say, you deal with it as an individual, because all of us are different.
Exactly.
Yeah. You would see him and I here, and you think, oh well, yeah, they're two males, and this is how they should act. But no, this is not how they should act. We should act in accordance with the situation that we're dealing with. But then society is preaching something else to us.
True.
And then they look at us differently. That's why you see people act out of anger and violence, and and then they say, oh, our queens they're too strong for certain people. No, it's not like that. You know what I mean? So yeah,
it's because they're suppressing. Men, a lot of people suppress their nature. They suppress what's within them to please society, and that's what I've noticed. Not me personally, I'm just talking amongst people. Society has taught you cannot be weak. You have to be strong. But come on, man, turn your weakness into your strength. Turn your weakness into your strength. We're all lions and lionesses, you understand? So if you know you're going for a situation, turn that weakness into your strength. Sit down and look at yourself in the mirror and say, yes, I am a man. I am a good father. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do that. Turn that weakness into strength. And that's where I feel like we don't get enough of that. We need to start turning our weakness into strength and helping each other to turn their weakness into strength. Don't be scared to go to a brother. Me and you spoke before.
Yes, man.
You know what we're talking about. Me and you spoke before. You shared your testimony. I'm not going to say it, but you know what we're talking about.
Yes.
And if you don't say that to another brother, you might not get knowledge to know that is what you got to do, to be stronger and overcome them obstacles and to be that king and to be that queen. And that's what we need to, I think we need to do more of that, man.
We need to be more vulnerable, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. I absolutely agree with you. And I don't think an hour is enough to be vulnerable and really get ourselves out there. Obviously, I would love to have you guys back. just putting it out there, our next episode is going to be called Red Flags.
Okay.
So we want boys, and we want men and ladies in that episode.
Alright.
So you're more than willing to come
That's deep.
be a part of Red Flags. Yeah, it's going to be serious, and I feel like a lot of times in society we look at red flags and we just think, oh no, I'm talking about deep red flags, the trauma of the red flags. Do you know what I mean? The culture of the red flags. Can we date out of our culture? Why not? If not, who says not?
That there,
There's so much different things going through.
what you're saying about a red flag thing, I'm down for that, because you know what? There's a lot of things as as a culture, we need to change.
Absolutely.
And we have to change, because what we're embedding in our kids. I'll just give you a situation, just an example. You see this thing about beating your pitney every time and beating them, telling them they need to be able to spell A, B, C, D, D, F, G. That is not the way to go about it, because they just resent you.
That's it. And I feel like that's something we're definitely going to touch upon, because I think I'm one of a few people that's never been beaten.
Is it?
I've
Yeah?
never been beaten.
Lucky.
So yeah, I want to take that to such a deep level, because again, society or people would just assume that everyone went through that trauma.
Yeah.
But everyone's gone through some trauma. So I'm really want to go deep with that one, but I want to give you the opportunity to shout out where we can find you, where they can find you, what do you do,
Okay.
and yeah, I just shout yourselves out. So whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, I don't do that much. Okay. Right. You can find me at Roller100 on Instagram. Right. I am currently working on a few projects and stuff, so just watch that space. I'm also a travel agent on IntelliTravel. Right. So you can find me at roll.dowe at intellitravel.co.uk, and yeah, Facebook, you can find me also on Banks Alexander. And as I said, just watch that space, because we are currently working on some things. Yeah.
For me personally, I was one of my business partners as well, just to let you know, my good friend. You can find me at Vice Presidential Travel. So that's Vice_Presidential Travels. That we work for IntelliTravel. We've got our own travel businesses. So if you ever want that holiday packages, you want all-inclusive, holiday cruises, just hit us up and we got you, man. We look after you, give you the best 5-star hotels out there.
Yes.
Also, you can find me on Facebook, Kirk Surgeon. And yeah, that's it, man. That's my socials for you.
Oh, amazing. Well, it's been fantastic having you guys on the show. I definitely have learned a lot about being a father and the father wound. I think we do need to go deeper, and we will go deeper. We definitely will do another episode about fathers, because I just don't think, like I said, an hour is enough. You guys know I'm Purpose. You can find me on my Instagram, Purpose_1 UK. You can find me on TikTok, the same name, Facebook, the same name. All of my things are the same name. Hit us up, let us know if you want to come on the show, inbox me, DM me, whatever it is. But as I always say, this is your girl Purpose. We out.
We out.